I just want to, just give me a second. I just want to on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, done. So, should I start, Madhu, with or what?
Ha, Prabhu, I think we can start now.
Yeah. I just, for second chapter, is it?
Yes, Prabhu, second chapter.
Sure. So you all don't open your videos, huh? That's how it's your thing is there.
Yes, Prabhu, if we open the whole system will collapse.
Really? Why is it?
Prabhu, bandwidth बहुत कम है. मतलब हमें तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. मतलब I and Prabhu are in Finland, so no, not much of a problem. इंडिया से यदि कोई ऑन कर देगा तो बहुत लोड आ जाएगा नेटवर्क पे.
अच्छा. So मैं भी नहीं करूँगा.
नहीं आप तो करेंगे Prabhu.
Okay.
Just recording in progress.
So what exactly second chapter I have to discuss, is it?
Yes, Prabhu.
Complete or what?
Bro, that's what I was also thinking. If you want, you can split it also. 2 sessions or 3 sessions, as you wish. If you think it's like if you need more time for going depth, so you can do that.
So I have to give overview, no? Is it?
हाँ प्रभु, overview.
हाँ. Okay, तो ठीक है, तो कोई problem नहीं. Okay, so let's begin. ओम अज्ञानातिमिरन्तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री नमः विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचार्य विशेषण. Okay, so we have this second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We are discussing this. Now, the chapter's name is Content of Gita Summarized. That's how it goes. And I'm supposed to give you overview, by the way. Second chapter is itself an overview on Bhagavad Gita. That's why Srila Prabhupada writes the Content of Gita Summarized. Now, in second chapter, there are many things discussed, by the way. The main point in second chapter is, so one of the main points in second chapter is the distinction between material body and soul, which is technically called as Atma Anatma Vivek. This is a term used in scriptures. Atma Anatma Vivek. Vivek means discrimination, Atma means soul, Anatma means body. Can you just tell them to come something? Just don't close this, but tell me. So, second point is, so this is one of the main themes of second chapter, and why this is one of the main themes I just discussed. The second theme which is discussed in second chapter is let's say service to the Supreme Lord, and the third theme is the symptoms of a self-realized person. So these are the three main themes of second chapter, which basically covers everything. That is why I mean to say, we are soul, and there is God, and we have a connection through service. And when we do service, we become self-realized. That is the love of God. And that is why the name of this chapter is Contents of Gita Summarized. So, Sambandh Abhidhay Prayojan. Sambandh, we are soul, and connection of soul is with Krishna. And Abhidhay, service, and Prayojan, self-realization. That is love of God. So these are the three main themes of the second chapter. If you keep this in mind, then you will know. And I'll show you how it goes. But right from the first verse, first, second, Kutasva Kashmaravidam Vishamesam Upasthitam, and third, first, second, third verses, what is happening is Arjuna is very distressed, and he is saying, I don't want to fight, and he's in complete illusion. So Krishna takes this opportunity to first condemn him and condescend him and tell to him, well, whatever you think, that's absolutely wrong. And he uses actually strong words, and he says Kutasva Kashmalamidam Shame Samupasthitam. Second verse, Krishna says, from where Kashmala means from where this material contamination has entered your life, and you're talking like unare, you're talking like a nonsense Shudra, and whatever you're talking, it will lead to Befemi, Akirtikaram, Aswargam, it will not lead to heavenly planets, it will lead to hell. And basically Krishna says, Klabhyam Samagama Partha. Klabhyam means you're important. This is a big word actually. To a Kshatriya, if you say you're important, it's like almost death. You're actually killed him. To a person who is full of valor, courage, and a fighter, and you say you are. In Hindi, we say hijra. It's abuse of the worst kind for Kshatriya. And so Krishna uses this word, and this is a really crazy attitude. So I mean to say, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he's not behaving properly. The idea is Arjuna is saying, I don't want to fight. And Arjuna gives many reasons in the first chapter, but the question is why Krishna is using so strong words, why he's saying important and all these things. He could have said, well, Arjuna, you're not behaving properly, but He abuses him. Why is that? Because Krishna is seeing that Arjuna is not fighting, and there are many reasons for that. There are some logical reasons which Arjuna thinks, but the main thing is Arjuna is denying Krishna's order, and that is the worst kind of calamity which can fall upon any living entity, because that is death. By the way. It's worse than death. Although it is said defaming is worse than death, but worse than that is not accepting the orders of Krishna, denying him, denying God. What kind of life is a person will lead if he denies God? That's that eternal hell for that. So Krishna uses strong words there to wake Arjuna. Arjuna, what you're doing, you know. And the point is, Arjuna cannot realize this fact. He's trying to give reasons for fighting, but he cannot realize this fact. His logical faculties and intelligence is trying to he's using all his intelligence to not fight, and it seems correct. His logic seems good on the face of it, but his intelligence is trying to take him on a corrupted, on a wrong path, and he can't understand that. And that's why Krishna says, you are important. You're nonsense. He uses strong words there to wake Arjuna up and tell him, well, you are a devotee, and you are giving me so many reasons to deny me. What is this kind of illusion you are in? That's why Krishna criticizes him. By the way, Srila Prabhupada writes there that sometimes Guru has to criticize his disciple strongly to actually help him to come on the right path. This is the duty of a Guru. To scold, to warn, to criticize his disciples. Those gurus who do not warn their disciples, who do not criticize their disciples, whenever it is required, not always, they are not fit to be gurus. They are not fit to be gurus. In fact, there are many gurus who don't tell their disciples anything simply because they're giving money or they are having high position in the institution. So they don't tell them, but that's wrong. I mean, Krishna is telling Arjuna, who is his best disciple. And by the way, Arjuna is the person on whom Krishna counts when this battle of Kurukshetra was fought. And and now he's denying. This is crazy. But Arjuna scolds him. Although by scolding him, Arjuna could have said, Krishna, I'm done. First of all, I'm depressed. I don't want to fight on the top of it. You are trying to abuse me. You are scolding me. I reject you. That could have happened, by the way. Disciple can reject his guru if guru uses this strong words. But Krishna says, I have to bring this devotee back to the right path. So that's first 3 verses. 4th, 5th, Arjuna gives his own reasons, and Arjuna says, well, finally says, Shishyaste ham shadi mam tad papannam. 7th verse, he says, Arjuna, Krishna, I'm confused because now Krishna scolds him, and Arjuna says, my God, I'm wrong somewhere, but he can't understand what he's doing. What's the right path? So he says, I'm becoming a disciple. And there starts Bhagavad Gita, by the way. After he becomes disciple, then Krishna begins his Bhagavad Gita. So technically, Bhagavad Gita begins from text 11. That's Bhagavad Gita. From text 11. The Bhagavad Gita doesn't begin from text 1, Dharmkshetra, Kurukshetra. That's the official beginning. But philosophical beginning of Bhagavad Gita is from text 11. So now from 11 onwards, Krishna actually speaks about the difference between body and soul. And we all know these verses. Although a soul passes from one body to another, just like a person changes their clothes, and at the time of death, it changes the body and takes another body. Soul cannot be destroyed, it cannot be burned, it cannot be wet. It is finally Krishna says, Asharyavat pashyati enam asharyavat tathaiva chanya asharyavat shinoti tathaiva chanya shutva api enam Shrutva Pinam Vedanam Cheva Kaschit. This is verse number, I'll tell you. Let me just have a look. Vasham Sijirnani Athavahana Chintanti Shastani Abhakta Chintoyam Adhachet Nitya Jatam Nityam Jatasya Dhruvam Mrityu. Krishna says, one is sure to take birth after death, and one is sure to die. Who has taken birth, and he then keeps on going. And text 29, he says, Asharivat Pashyati Pashyatenam. He says, some look on soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So this, till text 29, he is talking about soul and body, and he speaks about what is soul, what are the characteristics of soul, and then he speaks about a reincarnation of soul and life and death, and then he summarizes in text 29 this whole topic of soul and body, and he says, well, I'm telling this information, but very few people realize that the soul is not this body, and they simply wonder what is soul. People philosophize, people have their own philosophy, people discuss, but Krishna says, out of thousands, only one who realizes he's not this body. This is how subtle soul is. So that's one of the theme of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna also says in this theme, the only function, the soul is part and parcel of God. That point he raises in this section in a very subtle way, but he does that because full explanation, full information of our soul also includes to whom it belongs. If you want to talk about soul, then you have to tell what is soul and who is soul. That's the idea. So what is soul? He says, well, soul is indestructible particle, like that something. But then who is he? That completes the address of that person. Who is he? It's part and parcel of Krishna. So this is Sambandha. So in this section till 29, Krishna speaks about Sambandha. Okay, we belong to God and we are spirit souls. And if we realize this fact, simply by realizing this fact, you become fearless. And this is the beginning of devotional service. Now from text 30, Krishna speaks a little bit, and text 31 and onwards, Krishna is talking about his duty. What is the duty of Arjuna? The duty of Arjuna is to fight, and Krishna, by the way, subtly, in text 32, he says, O Partha, happy are Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them doors of heavenly planets. Sukhina Kshatriya Partha Lavante Uddham Idrisham. Text 32. Krishna is saying, after saying your soul and not this body, and why Krishna brings this topic of soul and body, because of two reasons. The point is, you might be thinking, Arjuna says, should I fight or not? Krishna says, well, your soul and not this body. Arjuna says, Krishna, how this is related to my question? It is related because for Arjuna to fight or not, first point is he has to come out of grief and his attachments to his relatives, because of which he is saying no to fighting. So that's why Krishna is raising the concept of soul. See your attachments on the bodily level. You first understand your soul, and then I will talk further. So as soon as Arjuna gets this information of soul, automatically many of his arguments are off. First chapter he says, I have my brothers and this and Guru, how can I kill them and this and that? But Krishna, in spite of saying your logics are wrong, Krishna hits at the root and he says, well, all logics are based on your attachment, body attachment, and this is information. You're on this body, your soul, so forget all this logic. So by talking about soul and body, Krishna dismisses all the logical arguments which Arjuna is giving to deny to fight. So in spite of handling each logic one by one, he cuts at the root. And another point to talk about soul and body in the beginning is to help Arjuna to come out of his grief. Once his attachment is gone, he comes out of grief. And the point is, when you're in grief, When your mind is unhappy and sorrowful, there is no chance of devotional service to God. An unhappy mind will not be able to grasp God, will not be able to meditate on God. So Arjuna somehow Krishna has to bring him out of unhappiness and grief so that he can listen to Krishna's message. A person who is so it is said in scriptures, a person who is very happy and a person who is very sad, don't give him spiritual knowledge. Because it will fall on deaf ears. It's simply a waste of time. He'll not be able to listen. He'll not be able to comprehend. So Arjuna is very sad. So Krishna has to bring him to a neutral platform. That's another reason he's giving the knowledge of soul and body, difference between soul and body. That Vivek Atmana. So once that is done, Arjuna is ready to understand what is service to God. He can hear the message. But before Krishna gives him the message, Krishna tells him, well, Arjuna, you are Kshatriya and you should fight, because by fighting you will get heavenly planets. So Krishna gives two reasons to fight. First is Krishna says, well, for you fighting will be good, first of all, in this material world also. As far as this material calculation is concerned, whether you should fight or not, you have so many calculations, but my reason is that so if you talk on mundane platform, it's good because you will attain heavenly planets, and that's what Kshatriyas live for. Fight in a battle and attain higher planets and go up. All Kshatriyas desire this result, at least on mundane level. And all Kshatriyas feel themselves fortunate to die in battle, by the way. Kshatriyas wait for a battle and wait for death in a battle. That's glorious for Kshatriyas. Krishna says, well, you whole life you're a Kshatriya, and this is a glorious moment from mundane calculation, so why you're leaving it? That's one reason. But that's mundane something. That's a mundane thing. But anyway, Krishna gives him. And then Krishna speaks about service. Now, few verses Krishna is talking on this theme. You should fight because you will have fame, you will go to heavenly planets. This is the opportunity you are waiting for as a Kshatriya. If you don't do that, your enemies will describe you in unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful than to you? 36. Avachedam chabhud vadishyanti tavahita nindastava. They will criticize you and criticize your ability. And Krishna has given a sample of that by saying you are important. Krishna also criticizes them. Krishna says, see, I'm telling you once, and you're feeling so much pain. But they will be telling you whole life again and again. And will you be able to live that life? Your argument is, I'll go in forest and meditate, but that's absurd argument, because you'll not be able to live a life. Whole life you will have this pain, they will criticize you. So what kind of meditation will you do? So by these arguments, although they seem mundane, Krishna is trying to refute Arjuna's arguments, which he's giving in the first chapter. Because Arjuna was giving mundane arguments for not to fight. Krishna is giving mundane anti-arguments to fight. He has to begin with it. But then he gives spiritual arguments to fight. And he gives spiritual arguments to make Arjuna realize that he should not deny to fight. He should fight. And that is 38th verse. And Krishna says, Tate yudhyaya jaspanevam papamanavasi. Do the fight for the sake of fighting, without considering happiness, distress, loss, or gain, victory or defeat. For doing so, you shall never incur sin. This is a spiritual argument that Krishna is giving. Arjuna didn't talk on spiritual platform. That is where previous to this, all the arguments from 29 to 37, Krishna was giving mundane arguments, anti-arguments to cut his arguments. But now he says to Arjuna, well, there are some spiritual arguments for you to fight. And now, because I've given you the knowledge of soul, you will be able to understand spiritual arguments. Sin and piety, it is all related to soul, not related to body. All these concepts are spiritual concepts. So Krishna says, well, if you fight, you will not incur sin. Do fight for the sake of fighting. This is very important verse. Without happiness, distress, loss, gain, victory or defeat, how can anybody fight for the sake of fighting? That's the question. I mean to say, anybody who fights, anybody who does anything, there is some reason behind it. But Krishna says, do fight for the sake of fighting. Now, what kind of consciousness is this? I should do. Why should I do? Because you have to do. What is this logic? This is possible in just one way. It's just possible when you are serving somebody with love. That's all. There's no other possibility. Only in service, when you serve somebody with attachment, only then you can do something for doing. So just like mother serves a child, and if you ask a mother, so why do you want to serve your child and get up in the night and take so many austerities? Why? Mother will say, well, there's no reason, because he's my child. I must do it. Mother will say, if I don't do it, then who will take care of my child? That's the point. So that is service. So Krishna is bringing the concept of service in this verse. Although it is not explicit here, we can't see that, but it's implied, implicit. Without considering happiness, distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, how can anybody fight without this in mind? Whether I should win or lose, that's impossible. And if you fight, you have to win or lose. That's the inspiration, by the way, to fight. I should win. But Krishna says, forget this. Forget all winning and losing. You simply fight because it's my order. Because you like me. And I like you. I just do it, that's all. And that is what Krishna is proposing. This is a spiritual argument that Krishna is using. Krishna is bringing service attitude, which is next theme of Bhagavad Gita, Abhidhaya. To serve Krishna. When you are in service of God, you can't deny. And you can't even ask God, why do you want me to do this? I mean, so you can ask him, why, Krishna, I should do this? But then your relationship is strained. Your relationship becomes strained, because Krishna says, well, you really need to know why I am telling you. Don't you have faith in me? Don't you love me? Don't you have faith that whatever I tell you, that's for your benefit and that's absolutely correct? Do you have doubt what I'm saying? Even if you have doubt what I'm saying, still love and service demands that we should serve without asking any questions. That's pure service. So this verse is not about you shall never incur sins. This is not about exactly sins. This is about Arjuna was about to involve himself not in sin, but in offense. So here pap is equal to offense. Krishna is saying you are involving yourself in grievous sin, or which is called as offense. You're denying. What worse sin can be this? I mean to say, especially when God is himself telling you should do this personally, and you say, no, this is a crazy thing. This is the greatest sin you can do. And that's why Krishna says you'll not unclean person. So he's giving us spiritual argument. He's bringing the concept of service here. And then you can read these verses. He's saying in this endeavor there's no loss and diminution. This is text 40. A little advancement on this path can protect you from most dangerous types of fear. What is this path? A little advancement on this path. This is path of service, where a devotee doesn't care for loss and victory. He's not attached to loss, victory, happiness, distress, personal. He's simply attached to Krishna and his orders. That's the point which Krishna is trying to raise here. And then you can just keep on going on 46, 47, and you can just read that. The theme is this. You just keep this in mind and read this. And then 54, Arjuna asks us a question. Sita pragasya ka bhasha samajitasya keshava sitadikim prabhashita kemasita prajatakim. 54 to 72, till last verse. This section is the third theme of second chapter, which is a self-realized person. Symptoms of a self-realized person. Symptoms of a person who have achieved love of God. Or in other words, Arjuna is asking, what is the symptom of a person who has achieved love of God, and what is love of God? By serving you, I will attain love. So what is that? And love resides in the lover's heart, in the self-realized soul. So what is his symptom? It's a very beautiful question. Two questions that Arjuna as far as goal is concerned. Love and the lover. How do we recognize love? And how do I recognize a lover or self-realized person? That is called Sita Pragyasya. This is called Sita Pragyasya. Pragya means consciousness, Sita means established. This consciousness is established in love of God. It's fixed. So Arjuna asks this question, and then Krishna 55 to 72, he answers. And he says, when a man gives up all varieties of desires, 55 for sense gratification, this is love. You can't abandon all desires, sense gratification without love, which arise from mental concoction. When his mind is thus purified, finds satisfaction in self alone. You will never find satisfaction if you're not in love of God, if you don't fall in love with God. Then he's said to be in pure transmute consciousness. So you see, Krishna is handling these two questions together. What is love? What are symptoms of self-realized person? And he's saying one is not disturbed in mind, even in threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, who is free from attachment, fear, anger, is called stage of steady mind. This is love. Material but one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it or despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. And then Krishna gives some example of tortoise. Then he talks about hypocrite people who actually who don't control their senses, but then inside their mind they're thinking of sense gratification. Often it happens with us. I mean to say, we are weak. Our minds become disturbed, but we are not hypocrites because we want to control mind. Hypocrites are those who don't want to control their mind and senses. They say, okay, well, I'll enjoy devotion, I'll enjoy material world. That's their mentality. Krishna says, mithyachara, iti uchyate. And then Krishna speaks a little bit about text 64 is important. When we talk about love, we talk about mercy, because love and mercy. Love is a queen, mercy is the daughter of that queen. So text 64 talks about mercy. He says, Rag dvesha vimukta istu vishendre sharan atma vasher vedehatma prasadam adhigacchati. He says, who gets mercy of Lord? Person free from all attachments and aversion, able to control his senses to regulate principles of freedom, and obtain the complete mercy of Lord. And how can we do this? This is possible if we are on the path of love. And this is the idea. So, then you can read 72 verses. I think there are 72 verses. Yeah, Esha Brahmi. Last verse is Esha Brahmi Siddhi Partha Nayanam Prape Vimayati Sittam Asya Manta Kalyapi Brahma Nirvana Michati. Krishna tells, if till the end of your life you are able to serve me and love me, and remember your soul in this body, what's going to happen? This is a way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which man is not bewildered. If one is just situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. And that's second chapter. Contents of Gita summarized. There's nothing else to be told and said. You have to read this chapter and understand this analysis. Okay, so if there's nothing to be said, I'm done. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yeah. Well,
Krishna, thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes, please. If someone has any questions, please feel free.
I have one question. Hare Krishna Prabhu Tata Pranam.
Who is it?
It's Yamuna Jivani Priya here, Madhusevita's wife here speaking.
Okay, yeah,
Hare Krishna. You were telling about this, that devotee shouldn't be too happy, too sad, that it's not good. So, like, how we should then find the balance, like when we are, for example, down, that we can somehow lift us up and continue our devotional service, because it's not easy. Of course, we are somehow conscious about this, that we are not so, like we are sadhakas, and this material nature is really affecting us a lot. But how we can find this balance when we are having these tough situations, or maybe sometimes maybe also very happy situations, but mostly tough.
Yeah, that's what that's the point that Krishna is saying. That is the goal of life. It's not the process. That's why I told it's a prayojan. So now we'll be affected, but we have to remember that we should overcome this. And how to overcome? That will happen if we understand what is service of Lord. And one of the main symptoms of servant is that we are not supposed to disturb our master. And the master will get disturbed if the servant is disturbed. So not to get disturbed is one of the service of Krishna. We have to understand that. It's not that I will not get disturbed and then I will serve. No. It is one of the, that's why Krishna says one who is not disturbed. That's why Krishna says that, brings this point, because that is one of the service of our devotional life. Of course, now you might say it is difficult. Of course, it is difficult. We get sorrow, we get elated in happiness. But if we lead a life of service and a servant, we will understand that whenever sorrows and distress comes in our life, we will actually glorify Krishna for helping us to get over our attachments, to get over our attachments to our own way of life. I mean to say, we get distressed because when things don't go according to our understanding, our vision, that's painful. So Krishna gives sad sorrow because he wants us to get rid of attachment to our thinking, our planning, and attachment to our way of life. Krishna says, no, accept what I'm doing. So a devotee glorifies Krishna when sorrow comes. So it is said in scriptures, whenever there is sorrow in the life of a devotee should be sure that Krishna is planning to take you back to God. That's his plan. That is why he's doing all these things. And devotee recognizes this because he's a servant. If you see with the eyes of service, we will know, okay, this behind this, there's Krishna. So what's the point of being depressed? He's planning something to mold my life. And so in sorrow, he's happy. And in happiness, he's happy, first of all. In happiness, he's happy and he's glorifying Lord Krishna. This happiness you are giving me, and that is why you're so nice. So that is why, although devotee experiences distress and happiness, it's not that he will not experience it. But the emotions of glorification of Krishna, the emotions that Krishna is so nice that he's handling my life by giving happiness and distress, those emotions overpower these emotions of distress and happiness, and then devotee doesn't feel it at all. And this is what is a servant, and that's how a servant can actually easily be not affected by happiness and distress. That's the idea.
Okay. Thank you so much for your very nice answer, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, please. Would someone else like to ask a question? Okay. 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 This one question. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Who is this?
Yes, sir. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in addition to Mataji's question, as you answered that maybe Krishna has brought this difficulty so that we look towards him. But how should we take it? Should we take it that way? Or sometimes we even think that this is part of our karma we are suffering. So
well, your karma is also sanctioned by Krishna. Nothing happens by sanction. So So a non-devotee will say karma, but a devotee will see behind who is a producer and director. That's Krishna.
Okay.
So that's how it goes.
Yes, Prabhuji. Okay, Prabhuji. Got it. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Dandapranam, Prabhuji. This wonderful overview. As you were mentioning, what Krishna is giving some materialistic arguments to Arjuna to first bring him back to composure, and then he gives a spiritual perspectives also. So, Prabhu, like we always are taught and we understand that Krishna is giving the message and the essence, spiritual message through Arjuna as the medium to us. So when he gives this materialistic argument, so we as followers, how should we take this? Like, what should be the message of understanding for a person who is hearing this? Arjuna, of course, is a Kshatriya, then all those arguments of Kshatriya get related, but how it gets related to us in our own life?
Well, in our own life, those mundane arguments are just to argue what Arjuna's, they're anti-arguments for Arjuna's arguments. So that's a specific case. So it's case to case. I mean to say, the idea is your guide, your guru might tell you something which you don't want to do, but then to convince you, he might give you some arguments, and those arguments might be spiritual and also mundane. So we should not think that our guide is talking some mundane thing. He might give some mundane arguments, but to actually help you to overcome your mundane ideas. So that's what Krishna is teaching, that sometimes that spiritual guide, we can't expect always spiritual arguments. There are some mundane practical points also which has to be told, and life has to be guided by both perspectives, mundane perspective and spiritual perspective. It's not just only spiritual perspective, and that is why we have Varnashrama Dharma, which Prabhupada says we want to bring Varnashrama. Varnashrama Dharma is working on mundane platform. When anybody wants guidance in spiritual life, he's given arguments from the perspective of from materialistic point of view and also from spiritual point of view. For example, some devotee is unhealthy and he's not eating, and he says, well, I want to stop eating and sleeping. Spiritual master may say, you're crazy, you should eat. Take care of your health and body. Well, then he might say, well, it's mundane, why should I take care? Well, no, we have to talk about mundane things because it supports spiritual life. So although Krishna is giving some mundane arguments, but it is supporting spiritual arguments. That is why. So these points have to be considered, and it will happen when we are under some guidance, and we should not take it otherwise. We should think, yes, these are some practical points which are being taught, and it will help in spiritual life, and that's what it is.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I am Archana Tadwalkar from Navi Mumbai. So, Prabhuji, I was listening to one of your lectures on the second chapter only, one of your Hindi lectures. In that, you were saying that there were two schools of thought. One school of thought says that Jnana Yoga is better than Karma Yoga. But then in the end, you said that, but if you actually look at it, Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. So this little bit of confusion is there, because means you were saying that service is more important than Jnana Yoga. But then if we really do not know that who is the person we are serving, what is the importance of that person, then how will we get that real service attitude towards, we don't know the greatness of the person.
Well, you see, it depends what level of stage of devotion we are. That is why it is said Jnana is philosophy is superior to service. Because if we don't understand philosophy, how we're going to serve, that's a point there which we're talking about. But in another sense, service is superior to philosophy, because if we don't serve, then we'll not be able to understand anything about philosophy. Our mind will be clogged by our own sins and attachments. So what is superior? So Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga for devotees who are new in devotion. First, they have to serve, and first they have to make a heart pure to actually grasp the philosophy. Because if they accept philosophy, then they'll become super confused. And that is why anybody who comes to temple, we say, okay, serve something. In tradition, in Hindu tradition or Sanatana Dharma, people come, they broom and they do some service, bring fruits, or maybe chant holy names. That's the service. And then they are told some philosophy. So, but at little higher stages, then Jnana Yoga becomes more important than Karma Yoga, because you need some philosophy to understand what you are doing, why you are doing, and then advance. So it depends on what stage we are of devotion. That is where both views are there. So it's addressing various levels of devotees. That's something.
So we can look at it this way, no, Prabhuji, that even in the beginning, some little bit of jnana is required for the service to begin. And then as you advance, and you can go deeper and deeper into that knowledge.
Yeah, you can look at it like that, but you can say like that. It's not wrong. But service is always superior to knowledge in the beginning. I mean to say, even if a devotee doesn't understand anything, still he can serve and he can chant and he can do things. And we see practically this thing. I mean to say, you ask anybody, do you understand this? I don't understand anything, but it's nice to serve. So, of course, I mean, little bit knowledge. Well, I mean to say, many people who come to temple, they don't even understand what is soul, what is body. That's not a question. They are told, okay, sit in Kirtan, take prasad. They are not even told Krishna is supreme. Just come, attend. And they don't understand any damn thing. So how this is happening? This is happening without knowledge. This is happening by the power of devotees. Just by seeing devotees, they are doing it.
On the basis of faith.
Yeah, in the basis of faith. In basis of faith in the culture and in the saints. You see, this is happening not because of knowledge, but faith in saints and culture. Like that. And probably the power of the devotee, if he's able to attract that person towards him by his own character, by his own behavior. So people might think, okay, this is a pure person, I should do whatever he says. So it's all faith. That is why Karma Yoga is superior to Jnana Yoga.
Prabhuji, would it also depend upon the type of people that you're preaching to? Whether it is the more educated people or the
actually that might be the case. If you are preaching to some scholarly person, he might go along with knowledge, but those people are very few. There's no, in Kali Yuga, there's no intelligence. Even IIT, they are like fools. They don't have intelligence. They say we are IITs, but they are crackpots. I know I'm preaching. No, they don't have basic common sense. They might know mathematics and this and artificial intelligence, but they don't have common sense. That's how it goes. But having said that, levels, stages of devotion, but nevertheless, Karma Yoga is anyway superior to Jnana Yoga in all stages. And that point is also there. Because service is always superior to philosophy. Because we are taking philosophy to serve. Otherwise, there's no point of philosophy. So that is why we accept this idea that Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. In the sense that service, the aim of Jnana is service. So that will be applicable to all stages, not just new level. In that sense. we like this kind of understanding, and we actually more biased to this understanding. Service is superior to philosophy. That is safer. That is safer. Because philosophy should end in service. Otherwise, philosophy will be a burden and will be very dangerous. It will make us egoistic. So, although both views are there, but we are biased in this view more, because we understand this is a view which is a safer path. That's all.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So with the perspective you just put forward, can you understand like the example of gopis ready to give the dust of their feet in that context where Krishna has a headache? So they are ready to serve, even though they had a knowledge that this will, or even they were told that this will make them go to hell. But still they were ready to serve, even in spite of knowledge. So they took the service more important.
Yeah. You can say that also, yeah. It's a good example. That's true. That is true. But you know what? You are right. But you see, so we are more biased to this thing. Service is more important than philosophy. But at the same time, there's another way. Philosophy is more important than service, because in Kali Yuga, nobody wants. We feel very lazy to take philosophy. That's the idea. So just to balance things out, I mean, the people will say, okay, service is more than philosophy, so we'll just keep on serving and chant and dance and that's it. But that's the real, but because people are lazy and people are always avoiding to understand things, that is why another view was proposed. Okay, philosophy is also important. And people, because there are 99% people are sentimental. So to actually balance those things out, another view came up. Philosophy is more important than service.
So it's like a pendulum, one side, other side, but it's better to be in the middle. And
it's a pendulum. It's a pendulum because our mind is a pendulum. because we serve and then we become sentimental and then we don't read Prabhupada books and we say philosophy. Okay, it's nice. So then you have to come to another view. Oh, okay, philosophy is more important than service. Then you take philosophy. But then while reading philosophy, we become mad and we become egoistic. I know so much and this and that, and then you fall into contradictions. So you have to get another view. Okay, service is more important than philosophy. So both views have to be kept in mind, because we are swinging here and there. That's the problem.
Agreed, Prabhuji. Because sometimes we speak the words of the Acharya as it is, but we are not at all realized. And so speaking without realization also sometimes can be a problem and disturb the mind of others.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
So you mentioned that when the mind is unhappy, we will not be able to understand God. Or likewise, when the mind is, too happy. So the two extremes. But I mean, it makes sense, but there are moments in our life when these conditions are there. How do we practically
so then we'll forget God in those conditions. We'll forget Him. But you know what? I'll tell you one thing. Yajanti Sumerasa, devotees are very intelligent. So we can use those conditions also to advance if we really are expert in serving Krishna. So we are very, very sad, very, very sad. We can just think, we can multiply our sadness and think about sadness and goodness. And we can think, if I am so sad and on the point of probably depression or maybe whatever, on this mundane platform, but how much sadness gopis will be experiencing by being separated from Krishna. So this is a mundane, perverted reflection of sadness of gopis. So at that time we can think of, we can actually not think, we can actually experience the sadness of gopis if we multiply sadness. So that will be for our benefit. So that's why devotees, that's why it is said, Yajanti Sumeras, only very intelligent people can do devotion. And likewise, when you're very happy, then you can think, Well, what about if you multiply your happiness millions and millions and infinite times, that how much happy gopis would have been in Ras Leela when they were singing and dancing and kissing Krishna. You can just think about that and you can experience that. So that will help us to advance in spirituality. So we can use those conditions also to advance. If we have prepared ourselves with that vision while we are in devotion.
So how do we prepare ourselves then?
Well, that's why I'm giving lecture. We have to hear to devotees who are, I mean to say, you have to hear this kind of stuff, again and again. In spite of hearing stories and jokes and complete nonsense, we have to hear these kind of things, which actually these kind of things, this is scripture, this is what Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita is. So, yeah, we have to read Bhagavatam CC again and again and again. Chaitanya Charitamrita, nobody has read. Read those books. As a congregation, nobody reads Chaitanya Charitamrita. I have not seen even a single person. They might have read here and there. That's not reading. Reading means relishing. So we have to relish Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavatam again and again, and hear again and again from devotees, and then we'll be able to think like this. Because devotees are thinking like this. So desire will come, I want to become like those devotees. And that inspiration will make you think like that. That's what we should be doing.
And we keep hearing in lectures that, material world is dukhalayam shashvatam. Sometimes we focus so much on this that, it becomes depressing.
Yeah, we should see, we have to understand material world is dukhalayam, not to remember it, but to forget it. It's a crazy crap, Okay, material world is so nonsense that I will keep on remembering that nonsense. What is this nonsense? We are being told it's nonsense, that if stop thinking about it. And so then we need to think something else. So we have to think about Krishna and his beauty and his pastimes. So that's what we should be doing. But what happens with devotees is, especially in ISKCON, every time preaching this material is nonsense. Okay, come on. We have to remember this nonsense. So that is the point there. That's a missing link. If this nonsense, I want to forget this and I want to remember some sense. And Krishna is only sense. Nothing makes any sense at all. So we have to remember his pastimes, his beauty, his qualities that nobody does. In fact, I was telling in my lecture, in ISKCON, the only thing missing is Krishna.
Yeah, I heard that lecture.
Everything
today morning.
Yeah, is it? So isn't it right? I mean to say, it's my opinion, but I think it's like that only. God is missing is Krishna. Nobody discusses about Krishna. Everybody is discussing something else and else. So yeah, you're right. I mean to say, you're doing 50%, but that's not right.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Only one question I have. Prabhuji, we right from the beginning, once we take Bhagavad Gita, we are taught about body and soul, but still we have not realized. So, like, what type of changes we should bring in our thoughts so that we start realizing, or is it just going to come one day finally? Yeah, then we realize.
Well, if I tell you practically, stop watching YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Just don't do that. Stop wasting your time. Stop watching nonsense. That's one practical thing. At the time of Arjuna, there was no net, so Krishna didn't tell, but that's the point. If we know we are soul, we are not this body, we are not supposed to entertain our senses in any way. That is full stop. There is a full stop. So, yeah, stop. You have to control yourself. I have to control myself. Everybody has to control. This is the bottom line. We don't have to see absurd things. We don't have to hear absurd things. We don't have to waste our time. And we have to spend our time hearing about Krishna, understanding him. That is symptoms of self-realized soul. That's a theme, isn't it? Third theme. That's why Arjuna asks, what is the symptom of self-realized soul? So that we can start imitating them, we can start following them. And practically it comes to this. Don't waste time. Don't do anything which will agitate your senses. Don't do anything. It might be net, it might be your favorite food. Don't eat that, you fall into trap. It might be your favorite, let's say, place to see, some tourism, something. Don't go there. Your mind will be absorbed and will forget your soul. So some kind of restraint is necessary from those things which we are addicted and which we like. To whatever extent you can do. Some things you can't really avoid, but many things you can. So make a list and try to avoid them, because that will pull you down from the platform of soul and make you forget those things. So that if we are alert in this, then we can come on spiritual. Then we can say, I'm living on a spiritual platform. But that needs courage. You need a heart full of courage to actually stop yourself. Basically, you're trying to stop yourself. So don't fall into much comforts. That will take you away from it. That will make you forget what you're doing on spiritual platform. And that is why there's a concept of austerities, tapa, tapasya, and devotional life. This is what we should be doing. That's all. Don't talk to people who agitate our minds and talk nonsense. Needful talk can be done, whatever is daily life. Try to avoid. So all this have to be done, and then we advance.
Seems little difficult, Prabhuji, but we should try.
What's that?
Seems little difficult. Not to talk.
Yeah, it's very. It is not little. It is very difficult. But no problem. You see, I agree. It's very difficult. But the point is not that it's very difficult. The point is we should know our goal and we should walk towards it step by step. But at least we should know where we have to go and what we should be doing. At least you should know this is the ideal, this is the truth. And so you can take your baby steps and take your time. You should go towards that goal. Because I tell you, very few people in ISKCON know this, by the way. So I don't know, Pranav Prabhu or Madhusari Prabhu can tell you whether I'm right or not, but very few people know. Very few people even accept this, what I'm saying. Oh, no. Be practical. Things will go on, this and that. Just chant and be happy. But that doesn't work here. That's why serious association is required. And it's once we practice, it becomes slowly easy by Krishna's help. And that's what is all Gita about. If you read again and again, you will find. So take your time, but do it.
Yeah, it has to be done gradually, one thing at a time. Maybe we have to.
Yeah, you're right. One thing at a time. Make a list. Try to deal with things which you can do one thing at a time, and gradually take your time and do it. That's all.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to end up here.
Sure. Thank you very much for the session. So let's hope we have the next session soon enough. Now I think next week Prabhu will be joining you, and 2 weeks after that, Roskari Prabhu will be also joining you.
Okay.
So, but we will have these sessions anyhow.
Yeah, whenever you tell, we'll see how it can be.
Yes, so because I think Gita, if we go a little faster, then we could also start with the Srimad Bhagavatam summaries.
Yeah. I can finish Gita like that. That's no problem.
Yes, true. So
people can read, and I can give an overview, and that will be good.
So, Prabhu, like, would it be asking too much if we could have like 2 months a session, 2 sessions a month?
Yeah, but let Pranav Prabhu contact me, and I can do it. That's no problem. If I'm free, I'll do it.
Okay, so like timing
free,
could be flexible. Timing need not be rigid. Like we could, as per your convenience, that so that the continuity is maintained.
Okay, fine, perfectly fine. No problems.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.